Happy Halloween night! I hope you're having a fun time even if you can't go out anywhere. I too am having a spooky evening at home, and then I thought we could have a cozy spooky time together. And what's a spooky Halloween evening without a scary story? While I don't have a ghost story for you, I do have a scary story about something that goes bump in the night. And it's based on a real-life event that happened to me one autumn evening a few years ago. If you knew me in real life back then you probably already know this story, but if you don't, you're about to find out. So get yourself cozy with some chocolates and treats and a hot drink, and let's have a spooky time together. In the background here is a speed drawing of a forlorn looking witch. She's having tea for one since no one is coming out to play with her tonight. By magic, she is listening into this story with us, so maybe she won't feel so bored since we are keeping her company tonight after all, even if it's at a bit of a distance. So are you cozy? It's story time! Once upon a time, on an autumn weekend, I was having a quiet and curious weekend to myself. I was new in town and had spent the day exploring the town and driving around the countryside. It was all so new and exciting. It was to my surprise when I had first arrived to be let into the house and given a key, not by the lady who owned the house and would therefore be my landlady, but by a neighbor of hers. She showed me around anyway and explained a few things, smiled, and left. The landlady wouldn't be returning to her house for a few weeks still, and her family had grown up and moved out. As such, I was suddenly the sole occupant of the house. The family portraits lining the walls were my only company day to day. That weekend was almost over, and I was preparing for another week at my new job. The usual things needed attention: making a packed lunch, organizing things, and feeling proud of myself for finding an independent cafe that made the most amazing coffee. It was a quiet, sleepy Sunday evening. The clock ticked quietly, and soon it was time to go to bed. 6 a.m. would come early after all. My eyelids were getting heavy, and I was about to fall asleep. The clock struck midnight. There was a noise. At first, I thought it was the pipes. Uncertain, I listened more closely. A thud. A shuffle. The flick of a light switch. That didn't sound like pipes. Sitting up, I turned the bedside lamp on. Listening carefully, I tried to decipher if it was coming from next door. I quickly decided that it was both too clear and my hearing was not good enough to cover 2 brick walls and the wide, empty space between them. It was coming from downstairs. For a moment, I lay there, completely still, thinking. It could just be the landlady arriving back. She was early, though. She wasn't to arrive home for at least another week. And who comes home early from a holiday anyway? It didn't make sense. But if it is her, I should go and say hello, shouldn't I? I thought to myself. Hoping it was still the pipes, and knowing that it almost certainly wasn't the landlady, I thought I should arm myself for something else. On my way out of the bedroom door, I grabbed the first thing my hand landed on, my flat-backed hairbrush. I turned the upstairs landing light on and lightly descended the stairs. Secretly, I hoped that a light turning on would make whatever intruder might be there change their mind about staying. I stood watchfully at the bottom of the stairs. There were no lights coming from any of the downstairs rooms, neither from a torch surreptitiously looking around the room, nor the ceiling light. no large, shadowy shapes looking for things to take. Had I imagined it? Was there nothing there, after all? But the sound had come from directly below, in the kitchen. Rounding the corner, I saw a light coming from the door. My heart dropped. There was someone in the house. Briefly, I considered my options. They hadn't noticed me yet. I could hide and jump out and scare them. Maybe they would run out the back door. Did I have time to go back up the stairs to my room and lock the door? And do so quietly so they wouldn't notice I was there? All at once, I realized several things. One, I would never make it back up the stairs. There wasn't enough time. I was too nervous to be quiet enough. I could hide, but the room behind me was the living room, with the most amount of reasons to break into the house in the first place. I decided my best choice was to go for a sneak attack. Gingerly, I crept forward, hairbrush in hand, ready to be wielded. Slowly, I opened the door and... Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. The door finished opening, and stood in the room, by the back door, was a tall and rather apologetic-looking, good-looking young man. Recognizing him from the many family portraits, I realized that this was my landlady's son. Suddenly, a wave of embarrassment washed over me, like a tidal wave. In part by my weapon of choice, my hairbrush, which I attempted to discreetly hide behind my back as we exchanged extremely awkward pleasantries. From the twitch of a smile, I don't think this went entirely unnoticed. If the ground would be so accommodating, I was very much ready to have it swallow me whole. As soon as there was an appropriate break in the rather awkward encounter, I hastily retreated to my room. And, afterward, I was so embarrassed, I moved out. Yeah. So, I wonder, did this story make your heart race? I hope the ending made you laugh. And I somewhat wish I was exaggerating. I wonder if you have any spooky stories to share with me. For me, I think that's the best one I have for now, and thankfully that is the worst of them. I hope you have a pleasant, scary Halloween night, and I will see you in the next one.